Today, I have a DIY project that's pretty simple. Join me as I make a hanging coat rack. How many of you guys have the issue of when you walk into your home and you don't really have a closet in your doorway, don't have a mudroom, and you just basically walk in and you basically hang a jacket on a chair or fling it over the sofa? Or maybe you do have a closet, but it's pretty small and you have a big family, all your jackets are in there, you're kind of bursting out of the seams. Well, you need a quick, easy way of just walking in your house and hanging it on a wall. Well, here's my solution. I'm going to create a nice little artwork piece that is also functional as a hanging coat rack. Enough of me talking. Let's get at it and let me show you what my idea is. So here it is. This is basically the idea that I'm going with. This is all going to be made out of a walnut. I ended up going to the lumber store and picking up some mill pieces to just save time because this is a quick little project and I just didn't want to go about and setting up the planer and all that stuff. But it's also something you guys can do yourself. The center piece of board will be 14 inches wide or long and 3.5 inches wide. Next piece will be a little bit shorter at 10 inches, 1.5 inch wide, then 12, 8, 10. So there's a little bit of a pattern, so it's kind of cohesive on both sides. And that's basically just the base of it. So that's where I'm planning on getting it set up like that. So here I am just going through and cutting up the stock pieces into the sizes I shown you earlier. Like I mentioned earlier, you can mill up these pieces by your own, but to save time, I decided to go and get them already pre-milled at the lumber store. They had a milled down section and I just went and selected the 1x4s, 1x3s, 1x2s, and some 1x1s. Definitely a time saver. So once all the pieces were cut to size, it was off to sand them down a little bit. So now it's off to get the back piece all glued up. As you can see, I'm using one of my secret tips from my previous video, using the painter's tape. So the painter tape goes onto your clamps to protect them. It definitely speeds up the cleanup from the leftover glue from your project, because all you do is tear off the tape from your clamp. Your clamp is nice and clean. You don't have the dried up glue on your clamps. So I placed them down to the pattern that I drew out, making little adjustments so the end result will look basically like the design with nice spacing. So there you go, that's kind of what the real thing is starting to look like. And now the actual glue up. Now definitely take your time when adding the glue, because then once you put the glue on there, you only have so much time to place it where you want, get it all clamped up. So once everything is kind of glued there, everything's set, ready to get the clamp. Get the clamps nice and tight. I also added some weight on top of this to hopefully prevent any bowing of this back piece basically.
24 hours later.
All right, so it's the next day. That should be dry. So now it's just to get it off the clamps and pretty much do the favorite thing, sanding. Future project. So once all the little pieces are cut down to size, nice little idea is basically get them all sanded down, make sure there's no rough edges, and then you're basically ready to get it all set up. Pretty good start. So pretty much going to start with the 80 grit and just work my way up there. Get the tunes ready, so protection, and let's get going. Alright, after that, this bottom section is my quick illustration of what I'm talking about, that ombre look, where these will be pretty much a inch or 3/4 inch pieces, and pretty much every about 5 inches or so I'll actually have one that will be the actual flip out piece for your coat. And basically to make that work, this will be connected to this piece and this piece via dowels. Same with this one, this one, this one, and then this one. So they can actually be able to pivot while being all glued. And the bottom portion might be staggered, or I might just keep it even. And this whole section will be placed roughly up here. So this will be a nice walnut background for it, and then these will be on top. And I might add some extra little accent pieces, a little bit. Typically all of them about 3/4 inch. Some will be 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches. They'll pop out, so it'll be a little bit of a 3D effect. Something along the lines of this. So as you can see, I have all my pieces cut. I got a little rig here, so I have consistent drill holes. So basically, as you can see, I have a little tape on the actual drill bit, one of the tips that I used in my previous video. So here, a few of them will actually have a hole straight through, and that's the actual one that's going to be the hook. And then the side ones connecting that will actually be cut a hole about 1/4 inch. And once put together, it'll be looking pretty sharp. The next part is basically just aligning all the pieces. I used a little scrap piece I had to give it some space, to give it a little bit of a different look to it, instead of having a whole straight row of all these walnut pegs. So once I had that aligned, it was ready to basically get the pieces all glued up, sections at a time. And then eventually the final glue up. Alright, so I glued up my pieces, put some weight on there, and let that set and dry. And I'll give it probably 24 hours.
24 hours later.
Alright, it's the next day. Let me just get my weight that I had on here. Pretty good. It's going to be on the wall, 7 hooks. Now for some tung oil, let this baby get its true shine on it. Well, I'm standing in front of the doorway, which only means when you walk in through this door, the hanging rack is up. As you can see, I am 6'6.5", so I am like pretty tall. But this is how it turned out. There you have it. Hanging coat rack, fairly simple. Hope you like this video and you will subscribe to my channel for more content in the future. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.